Hi everybody, welcome to Sprague Woodturning. My name is Jim. So this week we're going to be doing some maple. This is a natural edge maple bowl blank that I roughed out probably a year ago. It's been through my fridge kilns. It's got some really nice spalt in it, and it's also got some nice burl figure in it as well. I can't even remember where I got this piece from. Anyway, it's been through the fridge kilns, it's been dried, and it's ready to go. And as you can see, we got a glue block on the bottom as well. So what I plan on doing with this is fixing some of these areas here with some inlay, these bark inclusions. Once we get this trued up, we'll see actually how bad these are. Anyway, that's the intention as it is right now. It may end up disappearing, and we may not have to do anything at all. And I want to burn the rim on this as well. So that's this week. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And of course, anytime you give my videos a thumbs up, it certainly helps with the analytics. And of course, anytime you share my videos on your social media platforms, it certainly is a big bonus as well. So anyway, let's get on the lathe and we'll trim this up and see what we're dealing with.
If you haven't been here before, thanks for stopping by. So like I usually do on all my pieces, I always trim up the outside of the bowl first. This one here, I originally thought I was going to leave a foot on the bottom of it, but it had some pretty big cracks that you'll see later on. So I decided to turn away as much of that as possible. And again, I'm just trimming up the outside, and I always do that first before moving to the inside. That way you can get a proper thickness on your bowl. I should also mention that I'm using a 5/8 David Ellsworth bowl gouge on this. Now the lathe speed on this is probably somewhere around 500. And I get asked this a fair bit, you know, what speed are you running at? And the way that I typically do it is I put the piece on the lathe, I turn the lathe on, and I turn the speed up till I get vibration. Once I get that vibration, I back the speed off until it stops. It's never one set speed that I'm turning at when I'm on the lathe. So, you know, as long as you have a variable speed lathe that can do that, that's what I recommend doing. Because typically the faster you're spinning your bowl blank, the better the surface is going to be left behind by the gouge and by sandpaper. So I don't know if you noticed or not, but when I enter the wood, you can see the bowl gouge is almost on its side. And as, you know, when you get a shoulder for that bevel to ride on, then you can turn the flutes of the gouge up and carry on. If you try to enter it the very end of the wood without having it on its side, you're probably going to get a devastating catch. So you can see the tool's on its side. As it enters, then I slowly rotate the gouge so that the flutes are facing upwards or at a 45-degree angle. So it's always important to measure the wall thickness of your bowl. A lot of times people go through the bottom, and the main reason for that is because they're not paying attention to what they're doing. That's another reason why I don't like using internal mortises for holding bowls either. Sometimes you see it a lot where people go through the bottom of the bowl. Here I'm just using a burr that's got a real fine point, and it's good to get into these areas. If you want to leave things natural looking, it's important to use a burr that's got a real fine point on it. That way you can get in those little tight areas and just take out the least amount of material that you need to. Then the soapstone will look more natural in its place.
Okay, so I'm going to start on the back side of this bowl. I'm going to go with soapstone, crushed soapstone. I've covered this a number of times how to make this. And of course, since it's a natural inlay, we'll go with the thin CA glue from Starbond. An accelerator to set it.
You'll see all I'm simply doing with the screwdriver is just tapping on the bowl to knock the material down inside the groove. There's no need to use vibrating devices or anything like that. Just the handle on the screwdriver will do just fine.
If you want to, you can jam that tip right down into the area that you want it to go to, and that way you're assured that the glue is down on the bottom of that inlay. So there is a crack on the bottom of this bowl. It was sealed up when it was drying, and I think I'm going to leave it. It's not real obtrusive, so I think I'm just going to leave it. I think that if I was to inlay this, that it would appear to be fixed instead of being enhanced like these other inlays will look like. But I will hit it with some glue. You have to be careful on your end grain here. This is still going to be mounted on the lathe and turned back. But the CA glue can certainly stain the end grain. So this inlay goes all the way through. So I'm going to have to do something here, plug this up so that the glue doesn't run through. The bottom I think will be fine. I'll be able to fill that one in. Because it doesn't go all the way through to the other side. Now on this piece here, I'm just going to wet it first with the glue. Then I'll drop the soapstone on it. And eventually it should make a little bridge here. And then we'll be able to seal it up. Just like that. Now I'm going to be removing this bark because really there's only one section that has bark on it. So what I'm going to do is, again, put the soapstone down in here, hit this with the glue. That will be our dam, and then we can fill this in and then get back on the lathe here. There, hopefully you can see that. Now when the material goes in here, I don't have to worry about the glue running out. We definitely want to make sure that inlay is fully saturated. And of course you want it proud of the surface so that we can trim it away. And I know that I've never shown that before, where I dump where I put the tip of the glue right down in the void. I usually don't have to, but these are quite deep, some of them, so I want to make sure that the glue gets all the way to the bottom. And there you go. I'm just going to let that sit for probably about an hour, and I'll see you back at the lathe.
Now, when it comes to CA glues, you can try and use a medium in this instance, but I personally found that the thinner the CA glue is, the better it is as far as wicking in and holding that inlay in place. Um, you could maybe get away with using epoxy mixed together to make, just like a putty, and then push it down into the groove as well. And one of these days, we're actually going to try that here to see how it looks. But right now, my preferred way to put these soapstone inlays, and that includes alabaster or any stone that's similar to soapstone, this is how I like to inlay it. And here I'm shear scraping the outside of the bowl. Drop the handle to 45 degrees, those long, sharp flutes up and down the surface of the wood. And you know what? You'll have a perfect outside surface. And if you're not using this method, I highly recommend it. Here I'm just knocking off what bark is left. There's very little bark on this to begin with. And I actually like to use a flat tip screwdriver when I'm doing this. I find a chisel is too aggressive. Here I'm just using 60 grit to sand back the rim. And, it's sanded. I don't think I even show it, but anyway, it's sanded all the way to 320 along with the bowl. Anyway, before burning. You could probably get away with a lower grit, but I like to keep it all the same.
All right, I'm just going to do a second filling. I'm not going to show you that. There's no need to. It's basically the same thing that I did the first time around. There's some few little holes here and there, but overall it's not too bad. Piece there. Can try and light this up for you here. A few little voids down in this one here as well. This is a little punky along the edges here. Hopefully we're going to be able to sand this and not have any issues. By the way, I'm just going to do that and then we'll be back for sanding.
I'll just talk a little bit on sanding. If you're making bowls and you're always finding there's a little divot at the very base of your bowl, it's probably because as you bring the sander down, you're not going past center. What I like to do is go past center, and every time when I do that, it skims over the surface. If you stop and start there all the time, that's how you end up with a divot in the base of the bowl. And you can see when I get down there, I move that sanding pad across the very bottom of the bowl. I don't leave it in one spot.
All right, so we're getting ready to burn. Here's my torch. Some safety concerns here. Obviously, wood and flame don't mix. So I've cleaned up all around my lathe, blown away any dust or anything like that. Of course, make sure your dust collector is off. That would be not a good thing. Now, when you're burning the rims, you have to make sure you stay straight on to the rim. If you go either side of it, you're going to scorch the wood. You may scorch the wood a little bit as it is, but as long as you stay straight onto it, then you probably won't have too many issues. So of course, the longer you leave it on there, the darker it will be. There, hopefully it's a better view of it. I don't even think I'm going to break the edge on that. I'm going to leave it nice and crisp. Might touch up some spots here. If you do have any cracks that come near the edge, they may open up. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you want to try this technique. But it's a pretty good burn. There's not much burning of the actual sides of the bowl. Finish next. Alright, this is Mohawk salad bowl finish. Now when you put this on, do the inside and the outside and do the rim last. If you touch the rim with this rag, the black will transfer to it and then you'll have a big mess. This will probably drink up a lot of finish. A little punky in where you see a lot of the heavy spalting. Sure brings the wood alive, that's for sure. This will also even out any of the black areas. Like, see the cloth? There goes my fridge kiln. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But anyway, a little update on that. There's been no issues with it. It's working great. I've got it loaded with box elder burl right now. But so far, so good. No issues. If you haven't seen those videos, they're on my channel as well. It's called the Fridge Kiln Build and the Fridge Kiln Update. There we go. I'll leave that. Second coat on it tomorrow, maybe even the third coat. And yes, I'm wiping this coat off. I just don't want any of this black to run down on the edge of the bowl. Ordinarily, I don't wipe it off. First coat I do sometimes though. Anyway, see you tomorrow. All right, this is the second coat of Mohawk salad bowl finish. Yeah, so this is definitely going to take 3 coats. So I'll do the third coat the same way that I did the second one. And then I'll bring you in when we're ready to do the bottom.
I thought I would quickly show this. This is the waste block, and this is how I prep them for the next gluing. So just use my parting tool, put some grooves in it, good to go. Again, we're going to be using a vacuum chuck to hold the work to the lathe. And again, the 5/8 bowl gouge. Usually you don't need to sand any more than, or start at 180 to 320 for the base, because it's all face grain.
All right, that's it for the video. Let's have a last little look at our bowl. Again, this is spalted maple. That's really nice spalting in this, actually. Soapstone. There's our burl figure. Little soapstone inlay. Awesome, awesome spalting. The piece ended up being 13 across and 4 inches high on its highest wing. 3 coats of Mohawk sellable finish. There are some soft, punky areas where I just couldn't get that solid shine on there, but regardless, it still did a fantastic job. I don't know if you can see it in those areas or not. Maybe not. Again, there's the bottom. It still needs one more coat of finish, and then it will be done. And overall, a very cool project. The burnt rims are popular. I seem to sell them quite quickly when I do make them. So don't be afraid to scorch your wood. Yeah, I mean, this is, I could have inlaid these cracks on the very bottom here, as soon as I can find them. There are cracks that run along here, and I could have inlaid them, but the thing is, that looks more like a repair. This is an enhancement, where if I had to groove that out in the back, the first thing you would do when you look over, when you turn this over and look at it, you'd say, oh, that's been repaired. So, you know, sometimes it's best to just leave it as it is, and that's what I did with this. Okay, so don't forget about our sponsors in the description down below, to sandpaper.ca, Starbond Adhesives, and of course Designer Epoxy. Don't forget also to comment, because for the, every 5,000 I'm going to start drawing, I'll draw a name for a bowl. So, and we're going to pick from the comments. That's how we're going to determine who's going to be the winner in the next draw at 25,000. So we got a little ways to go, so that's for sure. By the time this airs, maybe we'll be at 21,000. So we got a ways to go. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. That way we can get to 25 and draw another name and ship another bowl off to a lucky winner. I guess that's it. I'm not exactly sure next week. I've got to get some roughing done, so maybe I'll end up doing a roughing video. Might have to take a couple of weeks of that. But anyway, till next week, take care, stay safe. Don't forget that thumbs up, and don't forget that bell, you know, when I put up a new video. See you next week.